Hi, Shavua Tov, everyone. We just came out of Shabbat, Parshat Vayeshev this Shabbat. And what a middle of night it was last night. It was, we heard like a massive siren. I think it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was more of a fainting siren because it wasn't as loud as usual. But worrying, have to run to the Ma'amad and check the news after Shabbat. It did turn out it was a siren. We weren't sure if it was a false alarm or if it was in Nad City. But reportedly it was in Tel Aviv. But thank God we are all okay. We just hope anyone that might have got injured is going to make a full, quick recovery. And, what a thing to wake up to in the middle of the night on a Shabbat in of itself. But very interesting. We are on page number 5 of Masechet Sanhedrin. Very, very interesting. And in today's page, we're learning about Rabbinic Ordination in today's page of the Gemara. In fact, actually, we see that the first time Moshe Rabbeinu would receive, let's say, some form of Rabbinic Ordination on Mount Sinai. And we would see that ordination back in those days came from the teacher and was part of a chain of tradition back in those days. And this actual smicha in of itself, rabbinic ordination, we can say of itself, has sort of been lost or dissipated as exile has come on from the Jewish people from the land of Israel in of itself. Now, the smicha nowadays, naturally, is called yoreh. If many people will know, it indicates expertise, let's just say, on the Yoredea, respectively. Yoredea being part of the laws of Isur V'Heta, mostly on Kashrut in of itself. So very, very interesting enough. And there's also, if one person becomes an expert, let's just say in Choshen Mishpat, which is another part of the Code of Jewish Law, it will be called a Yadin, very interesting enough. And these are different, there's different levels of smicha, then there's levels of dayanut, which people will take long exams. But it's actually interesting that there might be might be the process, but in the Gemara in today's page is going to report that there was an existing tradition, let's just say, in both Israel and Bavel. Bavel, naturally, I believe, modern day Iraq, that someone who wanted, let's say, to rule as a judge, because we're talking all about the laws of courts nowadays, would need to receive permission from the head of the community back in those days, the Resh Galuta, as they would call it. And in Bavel, it would have to be, that would be the case, and they would have to get permission from the Nasi, say, the president in Israel. Once such permission was granted, even if the judge, let's say, made a mistake in his decision, he would not be personally responsible, let's say, for paying for the mistake. The Gemara actually relates that when there was a great Rabbi Rav, he came from Israel to Bavel, his uncle Rabbi Hia, who was a great rabbi, also presented him to Rabbi Yehuda Anasi and asked Yoreh, that was his terminology, can he act as a judge in matters of Isur V'Heta, let's just say, on these kashrut things, permissibility? The Rabbi Yehuda Anasi responded, Yoreh. Rabbi Hia continued and asked Yadin. He asked a question over there, to which Rabbi Yehuda Nasi replied Yadin. He would reply this, let's just say, this terminology in itself. So the Gemara relates that Rabbi Hia made one further request, one which is no longer in, let's say, lexicon of yeshiva students now in modern day. He asked Yati B'chorot, will he be allowed to rule on, let's say, questions on of a blemish of the firstborn animal in of itself? That was the question. So here Rabbi Yehuda Nasi then replied the words al yati, he cannot. So the Gemara actually explains that it was not a lack of knowledge that kept him from receiving this ordination, as Rav had spent 18 months, reported over, living among the shepherds in order to learn these laws. Rather, he knew the material so well that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi feared that others would come away with incorrect, let's say, lessons, because they would not understand the nuances that led him to make his decisions. But very interesting, because we nowadays some people will take high levels of smicha. Some people, it might be an 18-month course. Sometimes it will take 20 years for some individuals. But in those days, it was a different process. Once again, we're using the fantastic notes of Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, especially from the steinsaltz.org website. I recommend everyone to check it out. And let's just hope there'll be blessings all over the world and all over Israel, because we weren't expecting. We thought it was done with the Hamas, also with Hezbollah recently, and now the Yemenites. It's twice this week we received massive alarms with regards to something being fired towards our area in of itself. We thought we were done with this, but obviously not. May the hostages be released immediately, unequivocally, unconditionally. Let's just see blessings all over the world. And Am Yisrael Chai, everyone. And just brachot for everyone that needs anything, and just safety. Wishing you all a Shavua Tov Barach. Take care and a fantastic night.